Hey, welcome back. Another video. We're going to do Fireball Lalo again in Legends. And so starting off the first base here. So what I see off the bat is CC is very central. So I'm thinking, okay, well, how quickly can I put Warden down to hit the Rage Tower there? Because the Rage Tower there gets the scatter, it hits the CC, the 2 tiles diagonally, and gets that Inferno, it gets the cannon, and it damages the Town Hall. So my aim here was, after the Warden gets the Fireball, he just kind of moves more central, so he can take out the Town Hall that's damaged there, and so we'll just see what happens. So he gets through the scatter, let him take the scatter, and then by this point the Rage Tower is the closest thing, so I go for it. To the Quake and the Fireball, and gets the value, great. So at this point I wanted him to walk left, but there's nothing to pull him closer to the Town Hall, so I'm like, okay. Well, the Flinger here gets the Eagle, and so I can just Hero Sui left of that, wall break behind the multi-archer tower, and then again to the ground bow. So that's the plan, and I'm still keeping an eye on the Warden. Do a Coco Loon just because I haven't put one over there. Don't want the healers to get taken out by air bombs. King walks a little bit, but he goes back toward the Queen, and just letting everything play out. I have a jump spell, and I want my heroes to get the Town Hall since the Warden is going off more towards 3 o'clock. And I think I didn't want to have to send RC here, but I didn't know if Warden was going to go for the elixir storage and then go cut back in, but that's not what he planned, and that's not what happened. So I send RC for Town Hall here, and at this point there's nothing left of the base. With the spells I have left, I still have RC ability and an Invis. I can just pop. Yeah, other than that, it's a swag Lalo again. This base, I've seen it a few times before, and that's just the approach I had for it. So again, like, if you can't initially get the CC, you want to think to yourself, okay, well, what defense can I get him to the quickest to hit within the range of the Fireball? So in that case, it was the Rage Tower, and then we got a few extra buildings. Warden went off and did his own thing. Hero Sui. RC I had to save for Town Hall, but it's okay. I swagged. A Hound and like 15 loons. It's like 95 housing space, maybe 30, and then 5 times 15, whatever that is. And minions come out of the CC and a swag poison. So yeah, and so on to the next hit. So we get this base. I'm like, okay, cool. So CC's easily reachable from the scatter there. So we'll just place the Warden around the Wizard Tower, do a Coco Loon, and then put healers, and then let the Warden work. So we do that, and we'll let the Warden do his own thing for a few seconds. And then here I'm debating whether to use a Siege or Flame Flinger, or a Barracks or Flinger. So in these kind of bases, whoever builds them, they know to do mortars and at least an airbow, because that makes value for the Flinger very minuscule. Like maybe if you can tank one mortar, you'll get the other one in whatever defense is behind it. So here, the scatter was the defense to go for because it has that 2 tile diagonal from the CC, and then I got the Inferno behind it. I got a few builder huts, and here it sets up pathing. And so I did something a bit different here. I waited till the Warden gets to Town Hall, and then I wanted to put my King and Queen with him. And I do this here because I see good wall break pathing, and then a jump spell to the core. So I wall break here after the Warden takes the Town Hall down to that initial builder hut right there in front of the RC. And then the next wall breaker, I'm like, okay, it can go either toward the bomb tower or it can target the Rage Tower in the core. So I do that, place the wall breaker, and it goes off to the left toward the cannon. Obviously, that's the defense I wanted to go for. So here I'm just thinking, okay, what can I do with my jump spell to get the most access And I didn't want to send my RC to that ricochet cannon, so I'm glad the barracks popped when they did, because it kind of keeps pushing my heroes more toward the core. I find a red bomb farm here, which is unfortunate. I thought my healers got away with it, but then the last one came out. But on my queen, I think it's worth noting that I do have the magic mirror and the healer puppet, just for cases like this. If your healers get baited like crazy, like there, I think my healers ate all 7 or 8 of the red bombs, however many there are. But yeah, RC the back end, kind of a swag Lalo again, but it's just, it's one of those rare examples where you can pull off a Warden, Queen, and King Sui instead of letting him go off by himself. But here again, we have more or less a swag Lalo and then a few swag spells. But yeah, the base is gone. It's a decent hit. So, on to the next one. So on this base here, I didn't quite... So for these bases, they're kind of fireball bait, kind of people want you to hit the scatter, ricochet cannon, all that stuff. So, and here the CC, like you're not hitting the CC anytime soon, so I thought, okay, well maybe I can, you know, kind of hit the builder hut there to hit the diagonal to get the CC. So we'll see what I end up doing. But the Warden, do 1 Cocoa Loon to tank for Seeking Air Mines at the start. But the healers, and okay, at this point I'm wanting to do another barracks, but I'll see what happens with the Warden. So now he's under a lot of DPS. He's got the Warden statue hitting him, a ground bow, multi-archer tower. So I have to invis him. And it works out because I can just use a headhunter in the rage and takes care of the queen or the king pretty quickly. Do have to invest another freeze just because of the 2 other defenses that are on him. And they're up at a super bar, but wanted to headhunters to take out the RC, but the scatter kind of like sideswiped them, so here my Warden goes down. But hey, I get the CC, so not what I wanted to happen. So at this point, I'm just kind of using like, so I'm thinking now it's a Queen Charge Lalo. So how do I turn this into, how do I save it with a Queen Charge Lalo? So here I have to King Sui Town Hall here. I'm definitely not Laloing through or sending RC there. It's a waste of the hero and the army. So primarily for Queen Charge Lalo targets, you want to go for scatter. Because you don't, like sending King by itself is a waste. King, you want to either try to Sui an entire hero compartment, and here I just had the RC and scatter, so I thought the King was best reserved for the Town Hall compartment, and he serves as a little bit of a funnel for when I do start RC and Lalo. So it sucked the Warden went down because now I don't have the rage effect and I have to send RC behind the King as opposed to King with the Archer Queen. So what I'm thinking here now while everything's doing what it's doing is I'm like, okay, where can I start Lalo? The core sucks, I don't want to go through it. The other side has Queen and Scatter, so I'm like, okay, let me start from around 4 just to kind of move everything up. Keep the Lalo away from the Scatter and the Queen for the most part. Queen, Magic Mirror, and Rage Spell. She can only reach so much. The jump spell wasn't the best. So here everything fizzles out. It's unfortunate. But the Warden, that's like, I think I said it in the last video, if the Warden goes down, it's basically a recovery at that point. Because not only have you lost the DPS of the Warden with the Rage, you've lost the ability for him to just go off on his own and pick off buildings. So, considering what all happened, it wasn't a horrible hit. It's a time fail. But yeah, just keep an eye on the Warden and you won't have to recover like this. But I think with what little confidence I had in myself, I think the Queen Charge Lalo turned out pretty well. But had it not for the Warden gone down, it would have been better. Alright, so this next hit, I'm like, okay, Flinger value is fantastic here. Take a few seconds and try to guess where I put the Flinger. So if we remember, I said tanking a mortar for the Flinger isn't the worst thing in the world. It can get one shot, but like 1 or 2 shots and it's fine. But I just test for a super barb over there, and then I place Warden here. Again, It's one of those situations where the Warden isn't in a crazy DPS area, so I can just not invest spells. So we'll let him see what he gets into. And so here I flinger. I flinger here because the ground bow's not going to target the flinger. There's not another mortar adjacent, so it's not going to go left or right and be in any danger. I do test with a Hog Rider. Again, the Hog Rider basically serves as like a ground Coco Loon. It covers a lot of distance quickly, and it pulls skellies and it tests for tested. So I did that. Flinger goes, gets Town Hall, and the multi-archer towers, which is huge value. And in this army, you don't... If you can avoid sending Lalo through both of those, it's the best approach. So here I'm thinking, okay, what do I want to do with my heroes? I don't want to pull Warden this time. So in the Fireball here, I didn't really see any like initial value, so I had to hold off onto it. And I thought that channel there with the multi-poison sweeper and the scatter on the far side was the best value. Considering it was a minute and a half left, I had to use it somewhere to start a funnel. So here I had a few wall breaks. I wanted to Sui the enemy queen compartment because if you can take out a air targeting hero with your other Sui, and with the jump getting like a scatter or multi, that's fantastic value. So I let them go off, do their thing. Queen unfortunately walks out of the compartment that I wanted her to jump through, because if she got in that little channel between the air defense and the multi, she could have grabbed the core multi in front of the eagle, but it's fine. So here I'm like, okay, well, RC, I don't really have anywhere to put her through like crazy DPS. The mono targets the minions, but it's fine. I still have a ton of spells I can use. The RC ability goes off. The only thing really endangering the Lalo is the two multis, but look at what we have left. We have half a Lalo, full health, Warden, RC, and Queen. A freeze and an invis. So the base didn't really stand a chance. It was crushed. Swag invis. I don't really swag CC spells just because it's easier to donate myself for the next hit. So try not to do that, but you can see it was swag. Not even close to being needed. But yeah, that was that made up for the last hit being a time fail. So yeah, it was a triple, and so on to the next one. And we're looking at this next base, and so I'm thinking, alright, flinger value on the single, fantastic. I can take out a mortar or two, or just one mortar. Super barb and a few loons, or a loon and super barbs. So okay, flinger for the single, great. And now, again, put the Warden, do a balloon, and healers. Okay, I'm off letting him do his own thing, so now I'm looking for how to set up the flinger. And I do a barb, and then just focusing back on the Warden again because he's coming in range of a ground bow and a multi-archer tower, which if they stay on him for too long, they'll force his fireball, so just have to drop a rage. Again, saving the rages basically for the Warden because you don't really use them anywhere else. They're best utilized with him and his Warden walk. Fireball here on the bomb tower goes crazy. It gets multi, queen, ricochet cannon, and it sets up a nice path for the Warden. Unfortunately, the Teslas pop and pull the Warden away from the eagle. So I'm like, okay, well now I have to Sui, or king, queen, Sui the eagle here. And then I'm like, okay, well my flinger gets popped by a skelly trap. So now my thinking is I kind of have to wait for the Warden to go far enough left so when my king and queen don't pull him, and then I can send RC with Warden for Town Hall. Unfortunate the flinger went down because that value is going to be great. But Warden's still walking left. I'm waiting just a little longer so when the queen walks into the eagle, it doesn't pull him. Like, okay, Warden's safe, he's doing his own thing, but then the minions take him out. And so at this point, it's another recovery. I have a poison, I can freeze the minions to take them out. So I'm thinking here, what's the best way to do the Lalo? It's either through the Town Hall with the scatter, or it's the far side RC and multi. So I'm like, okay, support Hero Sui with a Lalo from 3 and over the Wizard Tower to kind of crash in on the RC. It works out well, and then I have RC. RC wasn't really under any real threat. I had a few invises, and RC with Hog Puppet, Haste Vial, and Invis, it'll do what I needed it to. It was one of those things where I had to recover a few things. Flinger went down, Warden went down, Lalo fizzled out, so here I'm just relying on what little health the RC had and the Queen's Magic Mirror. And Fireball Lalo is one of those armies where if one thing goes wrong, it's not the end of the world, but like, if you lose your Flinger early, if that's the siege machine you're using, it's like, okay, well how am I going to recover the defense that I didn't get because it went down? And so in this example, it was I missed the single and the town hall, so I had to send RC. Which, it wasn't the end of the world because I didn't really see RC being beneficial anywhere else. So I thought, why not just send her over town hall? She got the town hall in the single, and so here I'm just watching a time fail. Queen can't beat through 2 walls in 20 seconds, but it happens. It went bad, and to end on a time fail is still honestly impressive. So this next hit, I'm just showing the army there in case people are wondering what pet combinations and siege spells and CC troops are. So here, if I said in yesterday's video, the Fireball, if you can get a defense and a CC, it's great. So here I thought Monolith, okay, great. Monolith CC, fantastic value. But I also said it's not what you can get initially, it's what you can get around the Fireball value. So there, it was the Ricochet Cannon, it was a multi, it was the Warden statue, which all really pose a threat to the Warden. If he gets locked onto by all 3 of those at once, he's gonna get fried. So I'm like, okay, I just get that value and let the Warden walk out. And it really cuts a good path for my other heroes to Sui elsewhere so he doesn't get pulled. But with the minions here in the Flinger, I thought they get good value after the multi-archer tower goes down. Because if you look, there's just an air defense, honestly. The ground bow can't target super minions. So I'm like, okay, where can I enemy Sui? I don't want them to walk from 12 to 9 because that runs the risk of pulling Warden. So I tried to Sui opposite of Warden or far enough left or right from the Warden every time. And so here, I wall break. I do a jump spell here because I want King to the core. Mostly because of the Gauntlet splash, I thought there was good value if I can hit the junction there with the Wizard Tower and then it puts him over to the innermost section of the base. So here I'm thinking, okay, RC is best supported up top since since Queen didn't go for the Town Hall. She went for the multi. So the RC pushes Queen down quickly so she can rage, invis, and magic puppet, magic mirror the Town Hall. And then, honestly, it's a swag Lalo again. I didn't really... other than the cannon kind of rips apart heroes if they're not under a spell, but the only thing I would have done differently with this hit is probably Flinger from topside. Taking out the multi would have been, I think, more beneficial, so I could have sent RC behind the King and Queen Sui just to get to the Town Hall quicker. But yeah, the attack's over. I swagged a Lalo again. And again, like, important to remember, it's not how quickly or what's next to a CC, it's also trying to set up pathing for the Warden after he gets the value you want. And in that case, it was pulling him off to the left there. Alright, so I think this is the last hit. And so it's one of these bases I'm like, oh cool. It was a very popular base with Root Riders. It's a double invis base, and so I'm like, okay, well, Fireball value here is obvious. And so I want to put Warden down to, and I didn't want to instant Fireball here, because if I do that, the Warden gets pulled from where I put him. The Warden will get pulled up. So I'm delaying the Fireball here. I have to rage because there's a lot of DPS on the Warden. 2 ground bows, scatter. So I'm just letting the ground bow go down. And honestly, after that, I can hold on to my Fireball. So if we look further into the base, sweeper. So it takes a while, but I want the Warden to get to the sweeper. So at this point, the Warden, I'm just letting him chill. I'm looking for what flinger value I can get because siege barracks here isn't the best option. Siege you want to use really when you want a tight funnel for your king and queen. And here, if you see, I haven't done anything for the eagle yet, so that's where I plan on doing king and queen. And that's an easy funnel with super barbs on the wizard towers down here. So the warden's doing his own thing. I'm like, okay, I still have an extra invis. I can wait till he picks off a few more buildings. And then at that point we fireball, and then we start king queen suing. So and now at this point I'm like, okay, well, the funnel is still not tight on the far side away from the warden where the eagle is. But it's not a problem. I'm just gonna let my heroes walk. And I waited on to start the Sui here because if I would have started, the warden would have been pulled and I wouldn't have been able to get the fireball value that I did. And so that fireball was great because it got CC, it got enemy queen, it got the sweeper, which would have been hitting my healers, I believe, in the direction that it was facing. Which would have just been less healing I had on the heroes. So fireball there was great. At the top, I was able to pull a few Teslas with test troops. Flinger's just eating. And now I'm like, okay, where do I start the Lalo? It's kind of scary. There's a central town hall, there's an invis scatter, multi-archer tower, and a multi-inferno at the top. But here, RC behind the minions, they can tank, doing a good job at cutting out trash defenses that the RC doesn't necessarily want to waste the Hog Puppet and Haste Vial on. And so I thought getting to that multi very quickly was important. And so it's just a little cleanup Lalo on the Wizard Tower at 3, and then everything kind of crashes down at the Ricochet channel. The Ricochet compartment, the multi-channel. There's not anything really I would have done differently here. The fireball, like, yeah, it's a fireball bait base, but it doesn't really create a path. So I look at the fireball army the same way I do Blizz. It's like, okay, where's the value and how good of a funnel does it set? So yeah, those are the hits, and I hope you guys learned